Nice to meet you, or nice to see you again. My name is Miranda and I just moved to South Korea. I just moved here on February 6th and I get out of quarantine in 3 days, so I'm very excited. And today I'm going to talk about how I moved to South Korea with my cat. Definitely a very lengthy process, and it was something that I had a lot of trouble finding that much information about online, like first-hand information. So I thought this might be a helpful video for some people who are interested in bringing their pets with them to South Korea. So the most important thing to me about bringing my cat was that I wanted to be able to bring him as my personal item on the plane. I really did not want to check him as cargo. He is very attached to me and he's kind of shy, and I thought that would be really traumatic and not fair to him to do that. So that was my #1 priority, was bringing him and bringing him with me in the cabin. So I did a lot of research online and I didn't find a lot, to be honest. Most people I saw online were choosing to ship their pets to South Korea, which I just wasn't interested in. So I had to do a lot of research, a lot of digging, and the process started about 6 months out. About as far back as it took to plan to move myself to South Korea. It took that long to figure out how to get him here too. So I thought it might be helpful for at least, even just a handful of people to hear about how I got my cat to South Korea. So there are 3 main things, at least for Korea, that you need to do. The first thing you need is your pet has to be microchipped, and it has to be an ISO compliant microchip. If it's a different kind, I don't know if they're gonna accept it. Online it says they won't. So an ISO compliant microchip. Thankfully my cat already had one. When I got him microchipped, and that is, I believe, the most popular type of microchip. But if you don't have that and you arrive in Korea, they can quarantine your pet for as long as it takes to get them microchipped. I know a lot of pets already are microchipped, so that might be an easy one that's already done. It was for me, but that is the first thing you'll need. The second thing that you're going to need is a rabies antibody test or a titer test. This was one of the more complicated things for sure, just because you have to do it kind of early. So to come in February, I took my cat to the vet in October. I believe it's just a blood sample that they have to send to the lab. I wasn't allowed to go in because of COVID. But they send the sample to one of a few specific labs. So because it's a specific lab that it has to go to, and also lab work in general can take a while, it took about a month. I think mine actually was pretty fast and the results came back in about 3 weeks, but it can take up to a month or more with COVID especially. So keep that in mind. And I think that online it has to be within 2 years though of when you're going to Korea. So it doesn't have to be like right before you leave, but it's good to get it done early, in case there's any hangups. The third and final thing that you're really going to need is an international health certificate, which has to be done by a USDA accredited vet. So this was a little complicated, but we got it done. So online, there's a lot of different information. I found a lot of places that said it had to be within 30 days. Other places said it had to be within 10 days. A lot of people online who had moved to South Korea in the military seemed like they were saying it was 10 days to bring their pet. So I did 10 days just to be safe. It was kind of hard to get an actual answer, but 10 days was doable and I felt safe. So what you have to do is you have to contact a USDA accredited vet. They're gonna ask you a bunch of information about your pet, when you're traveling to South Korea, the length of your stay, all that kind of stuff. Then they're gonna schedule an appointment, and it's basically just a health checkup, just to make sure that your pet is healthy and not showing any signs of a visible disease that could be spread in the country that you're going to. So the trickiest part about that is once you go to the vet and get all of that done, you still have to have it sent to the USDA to be stamped and signed by the USDA. If it's not stamped and signed by the USDA, it does not count for South Korea. This depends on what country you're going to. I know that there are some, it can be done all electronically, and there doesn't have to be a physical seal or signature, but as of right now, at least, South Korea requires a physical signature and seal on your health certificate. Thankfully, my vet was able to send it electronically to the USDA, which saved time. And then I gave them a prepaid overnight label to send it back to me. So the USDA signed it real quick and sent it right back to me, and I had it within, I think, a couple days of his vet appointment. Those are the 3 big things that you need to bring your cat or your dog to South Korea. I know it's different for other kinds of pets. If you're bringing like a rabbit or a bird, I have no clue what the requirements are. But if you're bringing a cat or a dog, this is what I had to do to bring them, was the microchip, the titer test, and the health certificate. The final thing was I flew Korean Air, and Korean Air has a pretty strict pet weight limit that can come in the cabin. So it's 7 kilograms or about 15.4 pounds. Now my cat is pretty big. He's about 12 pounds, and once you add the carrier and the luggage tag with my information, it was 15 exactly. So he did not have much wiggle room, but he made it on the plane. So I know this isn't an option for everyone. It's really only if your pet is about 20 pounds or less. I know some airlines it's 20 pounds, Korean Air it's 15, so you just have to do your research. Also, if you happen to be flying Korean Air like I did, there are specific seats that they actually want you to sit in if you're bringing a pet with you. So it's really important that you call Korean Air and you make sure that they know that you're bringing a pet so that they can add it to your booking and so that they can assign you a seat. So for me, the microchip was already done. I went and got the titer test done in October, and then the health certificate at the end of January, and then I was ready to go by February 4th. So it can be done. It's a lot of work. It was a lot of phone calls and a lot of research. And so I'm hoping that maybe this can save some of you some time. A lot of this information, at least the main 3 things that you'll need to bring your cat or dog, are on the USDA website, which I can link below. If the requirements were to change, it should show on USDA. The USDA website is really helpful because you can input what country you're going to, and it will give you the requirements. There are different levels of how much is required. Korea requires on the higher end of things, but at the same time, it was definitely doable, just took a while. I was definitely nervous to bring my cat. It's a lot further than he's ever traveled before. Door to door, it was about 27 hours from the US to my doorstep in South Korea. Thankfully, I moved to Seoul, so I just was able to take a taxi and come to my apartment to quarantine, and I didn't have to take a train or a bus anywhere else. But it was still a very long day of travel. But my cat was a trooper. He made it here just fine. And I think he had worse jet lag than I did, to be honest. No one told me about pet jet lag, but it is a thing. He wanted to wake up like in the middle of the night and have breakfast, and it's definitely taken about a week for him to settle in to the new schedule, but I would say he's finally there. So if you're looking to bring your small dog or cat to South Korea specifically, I hope maybe this can help you. It's definitely quite the process, but so worth it to have my cat here with me. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope that maybe it can make your experience a little easier bringing your pet to Korea. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll try and answer them. And from South Korea, we'll see you later. Bye!